It just got a weird flag on my screen that said that due to technical problems, somebody was going to be removed. I'm not sure what that is. That's the first time I've seen that screen. I was amazed because I have done, let's think about this for a minute. I have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16 meetings so far, and I never had the internet problems that I had earlier today. So I just want you to be aware that I am having some internet problems between when I had to cancel my last class, or at least cut out of my last class early. I got in touch with the cable company, and they did some adjustments to my box. And so I'm hoping that we will not continue to have problems. But you never know. If in fact we get cut off somehow, then I want to let you know that if it's in the middle of the class or a third of the way through the class, then I am gonna, if I don't have any other choice, I'm going to send you a new link to finish the finish the rest of the class. All right, but I got to tell you, if this happens in the last 15 minutes of class or something like that, then I probably won't try and reconnect the class. I'll send an email to everybody letting them know about that. Like I said earlier today, I was having a hard time staying connected, and I'm not really sure why. I know that part of it was probably my end of the internet for sure. I mean, I kind of have to admit to you that, like I said a minute ago, I've done 16 classes online already, and I have not had those kind of problems at all. I mean, basically, I've been able to just rattle on for hours and hours, and no problem whatsoever. So I don't know what was going on today, but I know in our house we've been having some internet issues that just started a couple days ago. And so anyway, it seems like it's fixed. But I'm gonna repeat myself again and say, look, if we are right in the middle of some important stuff, and we suddenly get cut off, then I'm going to restart the meeting. I probably will have to resend you another link in order to restart the meeting. But you know what? If it's close to the normal end of class when that happens, then odds are that I won't try and reconnect with the class. If we're a third of the way through, or half the way through, or 3/4 of the way through, then I will. But otherwise, I'm gonna end the class if we're almost done with the class anyway. Hopefully before we do that, I can make you aware of the documents that you need to look at. I think everything is finally posted. I was having trouble posting stuff, but I think everything is finally posted, and so we'll just hope for the best. But again, if I suddenly disappear and I'm just gone, then please hang in there, and I will do my best to reconnect with you. I'm hoping, as I said, that I got internet service here to look at my box and to do some adjustments on my box. So it's probably going to be fine. Okay? Probably going to be fine. And it's 6 o'clock. Of course, I didn't send the link out until a little bit late because I was still consulting with the technician to try and get my internet service up and better and running and all that. But right now I'm officially presenting, and I am recording the meeting. And one bit of progress that I've made since the last time, though it hasn't really manifested on our in our case yet, is I was able to get into a little workshop on how to post YouTube videos, and I've figured out how to post my lectures on YouTube. And the reality is that when you're trying to do that, it is a giant file. It took, when I was loading one of my lectures last night, it took 4 hours to upload to YouTube. And so, you know, the bottom line is that I am going to work on that. I'm going to work on uploading our lectures. Like this lecture from tonight, I will upload it immediately because it might be useful when it comes to the quiz. I will upload the last lecture that I did last Wednesday night as quickly as I can. And it may be that the stuff they did to my internet today might make a difference. It might not take 4 hours to upload, but you know, the lectures are 2.5 hours long-ish, and it just takes a long time to upload that. But then I will be able to give you YouTube links, and you'll be able to go back and look at those lectures again and again and again. I mean, I know people love to watch my lectures multiple times if they can, especially if they're wake up in the middle of the night and they can't sleep and they need something for insomnia. Well, then these lectures will always serve well for that purpose. Okay. So we do have, I think we have a pretty good section of the class, so I want to get started. So what did I need to say? There was something I was going to say. Okay, I hope everybody is well and happy. Me personally, or well, as happy as we can be under these demanding circumstances. I personally still do not know anybody who has the virus, and so I don't know what that means. It may be that I lead a sheltered existence. I mean, me personally, when I go out, I wear gloves. I cover myself in Purell. If I accidentally touch my face, I put Purell on my face. And so the bottom line is that the whole social distancing thing seems to be working. Back east, where they didn't social distance soon enough, and they lived in a city like New York, where it is difficult to social distance, they of course have had the worst infections of anybody in the U.S. I think there are some other cities that are close behind, like New Orleans or whatever. But I think because those big eastern cities did not do well, the word got out, and us western cities started enforcing social distancing and clamping down and staying at home more and all those kinds of things. And so we may not, I don't think we will get the same level of illness and hospital stuff that they are having back east. But that's all based on people doing the right thing, which is staying home as much as you can, avoiding crowds of any kind, staying 6 feet away from other people, wearing something to cover your face with, so in case you are infected, you're not going to breathe on somebody else. As I said, I wear gloves. I carry Purell with me everywhere, and nobody around me has gotten sick yet. But I'm curious whether anybody in the audience here, you know, in my class, knows people who are infected with COVID-19. Because as I said, I don't know anybody. Does anybody else know somebody personally? It's not like a friend of a second cousin or something like that. Anybody know anybody personally who has the virus?
Not personally, but there's a girl in one of my other classes who has it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So another student that you know?
Yeah. She's fine though. She said it's just like she's still doing her homework and everything, but yeah, she said it sucks.
Yeah, yeah, well, I'm sure it does. I mean, honestly, I don't like getting sick or getting the flu. I don't enjoy that at all. I think
She's
for
also
many,
a healthcare worker, so there's that.
would say,
She's also a healthcare
oh
worker,
yeah,
so
right.
that plays a
Oh,
big part.
I understand that. My daughter is a healthcare worker. I mean, she's a veterinary veterinary technician, specializes in surgery and stuff. She teaches in the East Campus Veterinary Tech program, but every day where there's lots of people and animals, etc. And she, I suppose, in my family, is on the front lines as much as anybody. But they make her wear masks where they work, and they make them wear gloves and all that. And so far, she hasn't. Doesn't know anybody in her little group of people that work in this emergency veterinary office that has it either. So I'm hoping. I mean, this may be me just being way too optimistic, but I'm hoping that when things started to really go bad back east, the Western U.S. at least, I mean, places like Seattle and San Francisco. Seattle had a lot of cases, and then they just went into full-scale social isolation mode, and they've definitely flattened the curve, like they were talking about, and have and are doing better under the circumstances. So I think there's reason to be optimistic. I kind of am sad to say that I bet you that it's still going to be a couple of months before people might be told that they can go out en masse again. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if they still restricted meetings of more than a small number of people for months. It could be. We just have to wait and see. Of course, Pima is planning to do a virtual graduation of some kind, and I think it's close to the normal graduation night. So if somebody's graduating, they still get a chance to graduate. I don't know. I've got graduation gowns here at home that I could jump into for graduation, but I don't know if that's true of everybody. All right. Sorry, I'm just gambling. I'm just gabbing on and on to see if anybody else is going to come on. I just was able to get back on the internet after they adjusted my internet service. So give me 1 second. I'm going to jump to a PowerPoint that I want to use. All right. So you'll probably see everything I'm doing. Okay. Whoops, where am I here? All right, so here's the newest PowerPoint. I posted this today. It is document 008, Ecosystem and Community Ecology PowerPoint. Okay, and I posted this. It's already up there and ready for people to look at. I also posted quiz number 12, which is on biogeochemical cycles, something we talked about last time. It's document number 009. And so bottom line is that an awful lot of that biogeochemical cycle stuff is completely related to the last PowerPoint that I put up. And I'm sorry, I'm going to jump back and take a look at that document so that I make sure that I tell you the correct number on it. It is document 007. Okay, so let me just write this down in the chat so everybody can see it. Document 007 dot is the ecosystem. Whoops, didn't spell it right. Ecosystem, bio, geo, chemical, cycles, PowerPoint. Enter. Whoops, okay. Document number 008 is the ecosystem and community PowerPoint, the one we're working on tonight. Ecosystem slash, really, I should say ecosystem, ecological community PowerPoint. Okay. .009 is quiz 12 on biogeochemical cycles. Okay, and let's just be clear, due Wednesday, April, whoops, what did I just write there? April 15th, before class. Hey, so these are just some documents that I want you to be aware of, and I probably repeated them on the PowerPoint, but okay, better safe than sorry, huh? You know, I did spend a significant amount of time over the weekend working on grading, and so some people in the class got little notes from me saying, got your quiz, I gave you an 8 out of 10 or something like that. So believe me, working through quizzes on the PowerPoint, working through quizzes on email is a little bit, significantly more challenging than just getting a piece of paper in class and grading it and recording it and all that. It takes me quite a bit more time. So be patient with me, please. I am slowly but surely working through that stuff. And so every day I will get some grading and I will let you know. When I open up your quiz, I will acknowledge it and say, got it, thanks. And I grade it right then and there. And I tell you, you got 3 points out of 10 or 6 points out of 200 points or something like that. So I will tell you right back right away how you did so I can get things recorded correctly, okay? So, but you need to be patient with me. I apologize. I sort of used to pride myself on getting things back right away. But the problem is I feel like if I work 24 hours a day, I still wouldn't get it all done. So I'm doing my best to plug away at it. All right. And so I'm going to say it one more time. If anybody has any questions, since you can't raise your hand, of course, what you're going to want to do is just activate your microphone and ask away, because that's the only way I'm going to be able to hear your question. Or you could chat it. I mean, if you wanted to go to the chat and put it on the chat, I'd be happy to answer your questions to the best of my ability. Okay. And I know there's like technical things about the class and how it's running and all that. So just quickly, somebody who came in late, I've had internet problems all day. I've actually had the technician adjusting my box, and it seems as if I'm hoping that that's going to make a big difference, because my afternoon class, I have a class that meets from 2:15 to 4:55. I got booted out of the meeting and had to send a new email link, and it was very frustrating. I didn't manage to accomplish anywhere near as much as I really wanted to accomplish because I was dealing with the computer constantly. Well, hopefully they tweaked some things in the router, and so it will be working better. But if there is still a significant amount of class left and I get booted off or my internet crashes, then I'm going to send you out a brand new link and have you come back. All right. When I did that last class, it took me a little while to get that second link out, and I lost half the class in that time. I mean, it probably took me 15 or 20 minutes to reboot the router, restart the computer, get everything up and running and all that. But so if we're close to the end of class, the last half hour or something, then I'm not going to try and redo that again. Okay. The PowerPoint is posted, and we'll probably use this PowerPoint for a couple days. I think this will take more than today to work it through. There's a lot of information here, and that's fine. But you already have it posted. You have quiz 12 posted. Quiz number 13 will be related to this PowerPoint. So I'm just going to write that down now. 010. Quiz number 13 is going to be related to the ecosystem community PowerPoint, which we have, and the comments that I make about it. But I'm not going to send that quiz out until Wednesday. It'll be due back the following week. All right. And like I said, I appreciate you being patient with me because it takes quite a bit longer to grade things and record them when you're basically receiving them individually on email. But I'm going to plug away at it until I figure out some better thing to do. Also, like I said earlier, I'm going to post, I finally figured out how to post things on YouTube. That's the way to go, I'm pretty sure. And now that I know how to do it, I'm going to start posting them. It does take a lot of time to post them. These 2.5 hour long classes take like 2.5 hours, 3 hours to post. All right. So let's look at this PowerPoint. And you know what? I've got it a little bit backwards here. I apologize. Oops. Here's the third slide. It should probably be the second slide, but it isn't. This is coronavirus lecture 5 and 6. Because that's where we are. We've had 4 lectures so far, and that's April 13th and 15th, 2020. So as far as class business goes, I did say this PowerPoint is posted as document 008. Quiz 7 was due today before class, and I've seen a lot of people have submitted it. Quiz 12 on biogeochemical cycles is due before class on Wednesday, April 15th. So you've got almost 48 hours to work on it. I've asked you to email it. And then just to mention it, there's an assignment called the Ecological Footprint Assignment. It's on my PIMA in the handouts and posts. I forget what document it is. Oh no, I can tell you what document it is. Sorry. Trying to get organized here. I just have to keep flipping around. I really need more than one sheet of paper. The ecological footprint assignment is document number 11 in our MyPIMA folder. Okay. So when you get a chance, take a look at the ecological footprint assignment. I think it's pretty fun to do, really, because it's a website that asks you a bunch of personal questions or questions about your lifestyle and how you live, etc. And then it tells you, look, how many Earths would we have to have if everybody lived like you? And I have to say, honestly, the minute you tell it that you live in the United States, it probably gives you about 3 or 4 Earths right there, because we are big time consumers. And so anyway, but based on other things, whether you eat meat, how often you fly in an airplane, how many cars you have, those kinds of things, it generates this ecological footprint information. And then there are questions to answer there too. Okay. Now, right over here, I've got a summary just for the record of different things that are due, etc. And then, like it says, tonight's main topic is ecological community and ecosystem structure and function. And I would like to, of course, go and answer questions about Home Ecosystem Lab 2, because I just am assuming that people are out there just gathering data on their own houses and having a great time figuring out how much water you use and how many lights you're going to list as lights and all that kind of stuff. So before we are done with class tonight, we will talk more about the Home Ecosystem Lab, because this is the way we're going to do lab for the rest of the semester. We're going to be doing it by gathering data on our own household. And in the end, you will submit that data to me, and I will give you a chunk of points for it, okay? That's what's important. All right, so there's the, there is the class business. Anybody have any questions about this slide? Can somebody just reassure me that you can actually see this PowerPoint slide?
We can see it.
Thank you.
I can see it.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I sort of figured out how to know if I get kicked off as the presenter, but it nevertheless makes me, nervous. I've got a complicated screen in front of me and all that. All right, so let's go back here because the title of this lecture is Ecosystem and Community Ecology. And it's interesting really because what's going on here, whoops, sorry, I apologize, is we're looking at the community level, but we are going to be doing some community, and I mean ecological community stuff. But at this point in time, we really have a lot of overlap between community and ecosystem. We really do. When I lectured last time on biogeochemical cycles, I mean, these are big cycles that unite the abiotic and the biotic together. Remember, biotic means living things and abiotic means non-living things. So that lecture, I would absolutely say, look, this is at the ecosystem level. And there is some really important ecosystem stuff going on that I will talk about tonight here. And it's a little hard. We're kind of straddling the fence between ecosystem and community. Okay, just for the record. Okay, so let's start. There's just an interesting case study here that I just want to mention. This is extracted from an environmental biology textbook on community ecology, and it's called What the Stork Says. A bird species in the Everglades reveals the intricacies of a threatened ecosystem. So the case study has to do with the Everglades in southern Florida, right? Real close to the Gulf of Mexico, and down there where honestly there's land and there's sort of swampy stuff. There's little islands like the Keys and those kinds of things. The Everglades are 4,000 square miles of marshes, prairies, swamps, estuaries, forests, and now a lot of roads, canals, and residential communities. I personally probably wouldn't choose to live in this area. Now, one of the key organisms in this area is a wood stork. It's more than 3 feet tall. It's 7 pounds. It eats. And it has very specific habitat requirements. It needs a very specific set of circumstances to survive and thrive. So you can see these birds have really long legs so they can walk around in water. They are looking for little fish mostly, though I'm sure they would eat crustaceans and those kinds of things. All right, so just an interesting organism, all right? So here's a definition. A habitat is a very specific biological thing. It's where a species lives and thrives. Wood storks typically nest in the upper branches of a tree called a black gum, or they can nest in a kind of cypress tree that looks like a pine tree, kind of. But these things actually are right next to, if not in, water up to their, up to part of their trunk there. So, and so these forested riverine floodplain habitats, what a mouthful of words, are frequently used to feed. Now, what is the niche of a wood stork? Well, a niche really is best described as what a species does in its habitat. What role does it play in the ecological community that it's part of in its habitat? Well, wood storks hang around together. They're tactile feeders. They basically stick their beak, down in the water, and they look for possible things to go ahead and eat that they can find. So in the late 1970s, the wood stork population just started to fall dramatically. In 1984, the wood stork was classified as an endangered species. It turned out, this was interesting, that the stork kind of served as an indicator species for the health of the Everglades ecosystem, meaning that sometimes you find a species that's, I don't know how to, this is a phrase you've probably heard. They refer to it as the canary in the coal mine. And the old story of the canary in the coal mine was that miners would take canaries in a cage down with them into the coal mine because canaries were really sensitive to toxic air, and they would die right away if there was toxic air. So the way that this is connected here just says that, sometimes there's one species or more than one species that are really sensitive to changes in the ecosystem, and they're the first ones to disappear. And when they disappear, they are telling you a story that things in the overall ecosystem are not doing well. That's what they mean by indicator species. A species whose vulnerability to ecosystem changes makes it useful to monitor to give advanced warning of ecosystem problems. So here's the bottom line. Even though the Everglades were formed there and the organisms in them adapted over thousands of years, that humans have come in and altered the face of the Everglades. They've drained in order to create better lands so that they can put houses on it, etc. They've altered how much water is there. They've drained it out, and they have altered the ecosystem. A lot of the historic flow of water is now actually diverted away from the Everglades, or it is put into a river or channel so that it no longer really feeds the wetlands. I mean, the bottom line is that wetlands like this are vastly covered with water, but after diverting the water away, they have changed the very nature of the Everglades that have supported the Everglades community for thousands of years. So really, the stability of this ecosystem is being tested. So here's some interesting commentary on ecosystems. Ecosystem persistence is the ability of an ecosystem to resist being disturbed or altered. And ecosystem resilience is kind of how well does the ecosystem restore itself to its original condition after you take away a disturbance. So one of the reasons I'm talking about this story at all is because we're still thinking about ecosystems, and it's interesting to think about the idea that human activities can completely alter ecosystems. And when you alter ecosystems, you change the habitat, and organisms can be dramatically affected even to the point where they're declared as endangered species. So here's another ecosystem level event, ecological succession. And ecological succession kind of looks like this. You could sort of imagine that at the very beginning of an ecosystem, where the ecosystem isn't developed well at all, you have bare ground and maybe even rocks. But then there are organisms that can attach to rocks and slowly but surely break them down, creating soil. These things are lichens and mosses. A lichen is a very interesting organism. It's kind of a symbiotic relationship between an algae and a fungus. Oh, and symbiotic, mutualistic relationships like this are part of this PowerPoint too. Well, once you break the rocks down enough and you get some dead organic matter, well, then you actually have some at the beginning of soil, so small bushes and herbs and grasses can grow. Now, they also alter the soil and add materials to it, so even larger things can grow there. And then once you get below shrubs, a forest could possibly grow there, a young forest. And as it alters the soil and produces, it adds to the soil, its roots add to the soil, its leaves, its bark add to the soil. Well, then you get mature enough soil that you can get mature forest. And of course, somebody could come along and just cut down this entire forest and burn everything else that's in it and push the phases back in time, these stages of succession back in time. So early successional stages is when an ecosystem is just developing, and late successional stages are when it is well developed and more diverse and more visible, etc. Now, if you think about it, over time, the community changes too. Like in the Everglades, the ecological succession looks like this. It depends on how
Should we stay in here or should we like exit out?
What happened here? Did we get just?
He's having internet problems.
Yes.
He'll probably send us out a new link sometime.
Should we stick around or should we just like, can you call it a day?
I see it close to the end of class, so
No, he'll probably send another link, y'all. He said
Did he
15.
disconnect or what happened?
oh, now Eddie talks about time. He's probably over here playing League.
I am, dude.
You always are.
My classmates. It's because the teacher disconnected. Oh, I missed my own. Oh, I feel I thought the range of it was longer than it actually is.
Well, while we're all here, y'all, has anyone started the lab yet? Like taking down all this stuff?
No, I didn't even do 7.
I'm just like, how am I supposed to know how much water my dishwasher and washer use? Like,
Look it up. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna look everything up.
yeah, I'm just like, it's too much.
How do you know how much water you use if you do laundry?
I know, that's what I mean. Like, how am I supposed to know that?
I mean, you're not only wash it by yourself. Sometimes you wash with other people. You know, like say you do laundry for other people. You know,
Yeah.
if you have,
Yeah.
like if you
The
have,
manufacturer has the numbers on your machine, so you can call them and they can give you the rough estimate of how much water usage it is.
Oh, that's so much
Yeah.
work.
so you
You guys are still
do it
recording.
based on your load or what?
Huh?
Yeah, you can just live chat them and say, I have this model. You know, how much water does it use per load?
Oh, okay, that's cool.